Hello YouTubers, it's Selling Guy 60. I'm here working on a piece of machinery from work, and it's one of these Upton, I guess that's how you pronounce it. I'll lock that down. It's a recovery machine. Hey. And it's making a noise, and let's see if you can hear it. Yeah, that's quite the noise. There's a fan back here. I've had this apart, put it back together because I wanted to shoot a video on it, because there was nothing out there. Back up here. I don't see anything on YouTube about taking this apart and replacing this fan, so I figured, well, I'm going to make one. So this is a G5, and I think this also fits the G2. I think there's a G2, and this is what I'm replacing. This is the fan, and the number, you can see that there, AY0036. It says a replacement fan gearbox assembly for G5 Twin, which this one is, and then there's a TE Z8 and a G1 single. So when I saw this on Amazon, it was for the G5 G1. It didn't say anything about TEZ8, but I'm sure it's probably about the same thing. I have a couple blocks of wood. These are probably what, 1 by 4 inch. It's a couple blocks of wood. You'll see when I put this thing back together that you're going to need that. But right now, let's just take this apart. And there's 4 screws that takes us apart. Take the top ones out first. Maybe I should show you that. Let me take this off, and you can see what I'm. Okay, there's a screw here, and then there's a nut on the back side. There's a nut back here, and there's a nut back there. You want to make sure you don't lose those. And then underneath, there's a screw here, and a screw here, and then there's a nut on the back side. This would be a bolt, but it's a Phillips head. So that's what I'm taking out now, are these 4, so that you can see what I'm doing in real time. Alright, you see that? Okay. I'm not in the way. I guess you could use a screw gun, screw these out faster. Let's see. I just want to make sure I don't lose those nuts, so I'm going to see about getting those nuts up out of there. I guess they're going to stay in there for now. One of these they fall out. Maybe it's the bottom ones that fall out once you take them out. It's the bottom ones that fall out. I knew one of them, these fell out. Yeah, I had this all apart, figured out what was wrong with it, and then I was looking on YouTube and I didn't see anything about this. And I thought, well, I'm going to put this all back together, which I came up with these 2 little blocks of wood because you have to support it on the blocks, and you'll see that little trick to get this thing back together, because it is kind of a little difficult to get back together. Not difficult, but it'd be easier if you had 4 hands when you put it back together. Alright, so this thing slides up. Should slide straight up, I think. Okay, maybe it doesn't. Maybe it pulls towards us. I'm trying to remember. I guess it pulls towards you. There we go. And there's this side. So there's that side there. Around here and zoom in a little bit. so you can see this a little bit better. Okay. There's this piece here that slides out. When you lift this up, it all comes out. Here's the end piece that comes off. Just lift it up a little bit and that'll come right off. That's this piece here, the end. And the fan below goes over. And now this side, you can still see it, should just slide right straight back. You're looking at here on the side, we're sliding it that way. Kind of gotta push it. Okay. Yeah, part easier than before. Let's set it on there. There we go. Okay. There's the other half, and that screws are still in that one. And then we have these two pieces, which I'll show you later on. Right here, these two pieces I'll show you later on. We put them back together. So here we are. I'm going to put these two blocks of wood up underneath here. And I'll take this off here so I can show it to you a little closer. So put these two blocks of wood up off the bottom. You can hear this thing. Back it up a little bit. You can hear that thing making noise. Well, there's a nut here, but on the back side of this nut, it's a Phillips. See, there's a Phillips head back in there. Right back up in there. So I've got to get a Phillips back in here somehow to hold that in place while I take this off. I'm thinking, or I'm going to have to, I can't get a Phillips up in there, I'm going to have to get some kind of needle nose to hold that screw in place while I take 4 of these off to get that off. So let's see how this works. I'm going to stop it for a second and get one loose and see how that works. Or see how I'm going to do it. Alright, I'll be right back. Okay, I was able to get them loose with the ratchet, and the socket is a 8mm. So there's one here, and there's one there. There's one down here. I already took off. Took that one off, took the nut off that already, and I took the one off here. There's actually one here. So there's 4 of these. So I'll put you back in here. And pick up my rat. And we'll see if we can zoom in a little bit. I want you to see what's going on here. Not get my fat shoulder in the way. So I just have these 2 nuts to take off. Seems like the bolt on the back side doesn't come loose. Because I tried to use one of these little Phillips ratchet deals in there. I can't even get it around behind there. So these are self-locking nuts. So I'm thinking that hopefully, there you go. Did it just roll right up there? I'm hoping that these will just tighten up when I put this all back together. Don't know. Not in your way. All right. Here's the last one. Last nut. Washer. Scratch on this one so I know which end's up, just in case there's something different about this one. So I'm marking which end is facing straight up, just in case there's something different in this. And I'm slowly pulling this out of the way. Yep. Yes, this thing just falls all the time. And can we hear it? Yeah. It's making all kinds of noise. Looks like there's a, if you can see that, there's like a gear next to this one, so this gear in here must be making a rattling noise. Okay, so we'll take the new one out of the bag. And I don't think there's any way of putting this in one way or another, but let's look. And I had marked this one with scratch the top, so there's the top. So the gear looks like it goes to the left. This is the top, so it looks like that gear should go to my left. So we're going to put this one on just like that, my gear going to my left, and fitting that into that. This has a flat on one side, and you can see on this deal there's a flat on one side there, so that needs to be spun around to fit that flat. So let's see. Yep. Yep, it goes that way. That looks about right. Get in there. There we go. It's in. So we need to put a washer on these, and then the lock nut. And it looks like those bolts must stay in there somehow. Maybe they're locked in from the back side. So that's all there is. Yeah, it's nice and quiet now. But we will fire it up once we get everything all together. We'll fire it up and make sure that it runs nice and quiet. I think it should. Let me get these all put in here, and then I'll bring you back before we fire it up. Okay, I'm back. Notice one thing here I was going to show you. The old fan has gaps between it, so I can get my ratchet in there. Get my ratchet in there. Well, this one here doesn't quite, you can see the nut there, doesn't quite line up with some of these. This one here is easy to get at. That one down here was a little bit difficult. But you have to go to a shallow socket. I had deep socket in there, which doesn't matter on this old one because there's all kinds of spaces. But this new design here looks like it probably moves more air. So I had to use this shorter socket so it's not as deep. And then if you look back here, it fits in here without too much interference. Get these tight, you know, snug, but don't over torque them. You don't want to break them off. So let's I'm going to back this thing up, and we'll fire it up and see if it gets nice and quiet. Move all the stuff out of the way. You can get caught up in the fan. I have to hang on to this thing, so I'm going to have to shut it off, plug it in, then turn it on for a second. See how everything works here. Okay, let's try it. Can you see it? Okay, here we go. There we go. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Not eh. Alright, so we got it fixed. Now comes the fun part of putting it back together again. I gotta try to remember how I did this. Alright, put that on first. Okay. Now which side is this one now? Just trying to think of which side is which. That's the bottom. No, that's the top. So that's the top. Okay. So you see is where I'm sideways now. I'm sliding this side on first. Then I'm picking up on the motor. Of course I have it unplugged. Turn it around to put it on these blocks for right now. Okay? Need to put it on those blocks. Alright. Now these things here, you can see they're kind of curved. They're curved. So this goes across the top of the motor. And in the motor, yeah, there's this notch. Whoa, where am I going? Hang on. Gee whiz, I swear I got my fat fingers on that thing again. There we go. See, there's a notch right there? That notch fits down right in here. So that's why I should have put these on first. Okay. I'll take this back cover off, put these on first. This one goes across the top, and then this one, there's a bolt underneath, just like this one underneath, and that one will fit up underneath. So let me try this again. I only did this once. Okay. You see me? back up some more. Okay. There we go. Okay. Should have put that on to begin with. Alright, so let's try this again. Put it up on end. Now here's that little notch. Here's the bolt. We'll put that notch right there. The one underneath, that's got a notch right there on the top by my thumb. That goes in the bottom. Okay, now we slide this thing on. And there's little grooves. See these grooves? There's little grooves up in here. And that's where these grooves fit into. There's a big fat one that goes right in the middle. So we'll try to get that big fat one right in the middle. And we're starting top and the bottom at the same time. And yeah, see, everything kind of falls apart here. Like I said, 4 hands probably would have got this together a lot sooner. Okay. Okay, we'll start with that side first, then we'll do this side. Start with the top, then do the bottom. Slide it into those grooves. This thing slides across the top. And that, and those grooves. Is that how it goes? Oh, it did. Hang on. Yeah, just slides across the center. Alright. So then we got the back. Now this is the top of the unit. And this little deal here, this little piece right here, you see this one is straight at the bottom. This one here on the top's got like a little bump that goes up over the top. That face is up. And this is the top of it, so that face is that way. So we have to slide that in here also. So we got to pull this apart a little bit. Yep. It's all got to slide together at the same time. That's why I said having 4 hands seemed to be about best. This thing here. Okay, let's take it back off a little bit. Get this cage around this. Be careful with this fan that you don't jam it up. This has to fit in a groove, and I'll show you the groove on the other one when we slide it all together. There we go. You can pull on this a little bit, not a lot, just to get everything lined up. There we go. Here's the top. See, there's a groove. There's a groove here. It's all along the back, and there's a groove here that goes around the front, and that has to fit right here on this little edge. See that? Probably see that edge a lot better that way. There's the edge right here. So this has to fit along that edge and go back together. And then we have to line the grooves up. It should line up now that everything down here is lined up. Let's double check on that. That's lined up in the groove. And you'll see that this thing is lined up. There's only one way that thing can go. See, this top one was kind of out of that little, where the bolt goes through there, that was out of that notch just a little bit. Okay, so now we should be able to slide this thing all back together. Into the groove. There we go. Now it's into the groove. Okay. So that goes there. It's not going in there very easy, is it? Did I do something wrong? What did I do wrong here? Not lining up right here. I had a problem with this last time too. Oh, I got that wrong. Look at that. I did this wrong. That's why it won't fit. Didn't have that thing on the up. Thought I had it facing up. Okay. See, gotta make sure that's on the top. I didn't have it on the top. I had it on the side. And this thing is kind of oblong. This end panel is kind of like an egg. It's oblong. And now I gotta straighten everything else out again. Make sure these end pads, this one's in that notch. It's not in the notch there. Now it's in the notch. It's in the notch. That one's in the notch. Okay, let's try this again. Get it all lined up in those things. Is that a better fit? Just got to tap it together just a little bit. It should start. Okay, so now we're going to start these top ones first. Put my finger behind the nut on this top one. It kind of stayed in there. And as soon as I feel my finger, this bolt coming out the other side, then I'll go over to the other side. So you want to draw these in evenly. That one's starting. That one's starting through the nut. Okay, now on the bottom one we have to put the nuts up underneath. And I'll zoom in on that a little bit. On the bottom here. There's the nut. We got to kind of slide that up in place. You can just push it up there with a screwdriver, push that nut up into place, and then hold it with your finger. Well, you just get it started. You just want the threads to go through there. So we're going to tighten this up in a crisscross pattern. So here's the nut. You can slide the nut up in there. And pop it up the rest of the way with it. Should I go see that one? Hold it in. Yeah, that's not working. Come on. How's this thing? Come on. There we go. And I guess it just blew out that way. Okay, I'm going to tighten this one down here first. Then I'll tighten this one up here at the top. You can see a little gap right here. Hang on. There's a little gap right there. It'll close up once we tighten this up. There we go. Tighten it up. And this bottom one. Double check it. So we're going to go back and check all these again. That one's tight. That one's tight. This one's tight. And now this one's tight. Let's look around the edges to where they come together. Everything's in place. Alright. So before I fire this thing back up again, I'm going to open up those. I just fired it up this for a few seconds, but let's open these puppies up. This is open up already. Okay, so we didn't want these closed and building pressure, so whoop, hang on. Back it up, Rick. You don't want these things closed, building up pressure. I left them open so the thing will run freely. There you go. That's how quiet it should be. Okay, I hope this helps everybody. I'm trying to remember how much this fan was on Amazon. I think it's like 120 bucks or something like that. You can see me other places, they want like $240 for them. And you know, this thing's just, there's a gear. That gear right in there. That gear must be bad. Huh, interesting. But we've had this machine, this Upton, I think that's how they pronounce it, this twin thing. This is quiet and it runs. We've had this thing for 10 years. This is the first thing I did to it. There's a little filter up under here that you need to change. Where the inlet is, you take this off and there's a screen you need to clean every year. But other than that, it's a good machine, works well, it's quiet, and it really takes the refrigerant out of the unit very fast so you can get going on your job, especially if it's a hot day and you're just trying to get things done. So it's Selling Guy 60. I hope this helps somebody out there. I make these videos for people. Here, what is today's date? I remember I was telling Flo, I thought the 20th. Is today? Is that today? Oh, I passed it already. I've been on here 4 years? Yeah, 4 years, which have been Monday. So I've been on here 4 years. I had some, my videos get pretty, 3,000 or 4,000 on one hit, on one video, which was a refrigerator. How to put the, I think it was a Frigidaire. It had electronic board. You had to take this whole panel off, put the whole panel on in one piece. That had a lot of hits, and then a stove that I had a lot of hits. Plus the little stuff I do with my grandsons working on, you know, lawnmowers and tractors and stuff. So I've been pretty blessed. I have, I don't know, 22 I think followers. And those are probably all my relatives. And there are probably a few of the people that aren't, but I do this for the fun of it. And people do go to my channel and look up things you can't find anywhere else. So I couldn't find this, taking this thing apart and putting that fan in anywhere else on YouTube, so I made one. It might be there somewhere, I just didn't find it. So hopefully I'm not doubling up on something that somebody else did. I just couldn't find it, and maybe I typed in the wrong word search. So Selling Guy 60, have a good one, catch you later, bye.